welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. So we are back, and we are together again.
I was like, it feels so good.
We did not even talk about this, and I was like, she's going to start singing that. Yeah, if she's not, I am. Like, somebody, it has to be done, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since we recorded together. And we took a bit of a hiatus.
For the holidays.
Nice. And then I got sick.
Yeah.
There was traveling, the holidays, I got sick, and all kinds of stuff, so.
Now we're back in action.
Yeah, I think we're back probably like a little bit later than I would have. But that's why you have the gap, like we have a bit of a leeway to when life happens. So we are back, and we are talking about Season 3, Episode 1, Anne. So, yeah, where we left off, Buffy was skipping town.
Well, it's funny because I didn't realize, I thought this was going to be about somebody else, this episode.
Right, yeah. I do like that kind of, like, part of it. Let's see.
Tricked me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Anne originally aired on September 29th, 1998, written and directed by Joss Whedon, which is typical for premieres and finales. And the synopsis is, trying to escape who she is, Buffy finds herself in a city far from home, where she is forced to once again face her destiny to battle a demonic force threatening inner-city kids living on the streets. Back in Sunnydale, at the onset of senior year, Willow, Xander, Cordelia, and Oz try to keep the vampire population in check without getting themselves killed, while Giles searches for leads on Buffy's whereabouts.
Wait, senior year. Okay, so in America, that means the last year of high school?
12. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is their last year of high school?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but there's like...
It started...
so many more seasons?
Yeah.
Is it going to follow them into college?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Or post-high school years.
Post-high school years, right, yes.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. It's not just about college.
I mean, some of them might go to college, some of them might not. Who knows?
Interesting.
Some of them might not live to see college. Who knows? Some of them... Not everybody's going to live to see graduation. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
I
guess we're going to find out
in
this
22
season.
episodes, you'll find out.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, the show started in their sophomore year.
Which year is that? 9th?
10th.
10th? Oh, God, okay.
So, 9th grade is freshman year. 10th grade is sophomore year. 11th is junior. 12th is senior.
Okay. In Canada, we don't have these weird terms.
Matt doesn't either. He's like,
I don't understand.
sophomore, what age is that? What grade is that?
No. I mean, I guess junior? No, wait. Freshman and senior makes sense, but then the other two is just...
Sophomore and junior, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, so they're in their senior year, 12th grade.
Last year, okay.
Yeah, the last year of high
grade of high school.
Last year of high school, 12th grade, yeah. All right. So we start out in a graveyard.
Of course.
Which is typical.
Where else would we start?
Home sweet home. We're back in the graveyard. And we see a vamp rising out of his grave. Mm. And we see that the Scoobies are working to patrol on their own. Do you have something to say right off the bat? That's what I feel like you have something to say.
Well, it's just they're working together, which is great.
They're trying.
They're trying. I actually wrote Oz comically tries to throw a stake.
Oh my God.
I wrote that down.
I wrote it too. I said Oz misses vamp.
I wrote the word comically.
So yeah, they're just trying to like. I feel like Willow is trying to like be Buffy in the situation, and the rest of them are just trying to like help.
They're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and she has like a line which is "Come and get it, big boy."
Yeah, that was super cheesy. It didn't land.
I think it didn't land for even in the show. Like the other characters are like, Xander's like, what? Like, why did you say that? Yeah. And yeah, so the vamp gets away, and he like does like some flips and stuff, and he gets away, and he's running away. They're like, he's getting away. And Oz, like, grabs, he's running. Oz grabs a big stake, and he, like, just slowly, like, kind of aims, and he, like, throws it, and it just bounces off of a tombstone.
Like, it's not even close.
Not even close to the vampire.
And the way he, like, grabs it, you think he's gonna get it. And
yeah, and, like, the music is swelling. Yeah. It's building. You're like, oh, my God, it's gonna happen. And it's like, boing, and it just bounces off.
Yeah.
That was, like, the funniest part of this whole episode. I loved that.
It was probably one of the best parts of this episode.
Yeah, and then Oz is like, that never actually really works. That never actually happens. Unless it's Buffy.
It was honest.
Unless it was Buffy, it doesn't. Nobody gets that.
Buffy probably would have been able to do that.
Yeah, and so Xander comes over and says, like, about the, like, come and get a big boy. Like, what are you doing? What was that about? And it kind of brings them to the topic of, like, how good Buffy is at, like, her quips and her, like, little comebacks and all that.
He took her punning for granted.
Her puns. Yeah, so that kind of brings them to, like, I know they wish they knew where she was, and they're worried about her, and does she know that school's starting tomorrow? Yeah. Because senior year is starting tomorrow, and Oz...
So they did say senior year. I totally
senior
missed
year,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Or maybe I just didn't realize it was last year. Okay.
Yeah, and so Willow's very excited about homework.
Yeah, and it's getting back to school.
Getting back to school. This is her happy place, is school. And Xander is very excited to see Cordelia, because I feel they haven't had much communication over the summer vacation.
He's, like, nervous about it. He's, like, building it up in his mind, and he's just, like, he's getting nervous about seeing her.
I feel like they've never really been on solid ground, so whenever they have, like, time apart, they're like, I don't know what I'm coming back to. Like, are we together? Are we not? Are we, like, what?
Yeah, and it sounds like they basically went the whole summer without talking, which is weird for a relationship, but...
Yeah, I guess it hasn't really been labeled as boyfriend and girlfriend.
I guess, but they act like boyfriend.
They do.
So their relationship is so weird.
Yeah, so he kind of is on the, like, okay, we're going to, like, just pick up where we left off. He's in that mindset, I think, at the moment. But he's a bit nervous. And then Oz is like, oh, yeah, you guys are going back to school, because Oz graduated already.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Well, he didn't graduate. Sorry. He was supposed to graduate. He was a senior last year. Yeah. He's just a not graduated person. An adult out of high school that didn't graduate. And, yeah, so he's just going to be hanging around, I guess, doing nothing, which is, like, disappointing. Like, what are you doing, Oz? Like,
well, I think that comes up at some point with
it does, yeah.
In a bit. And they're all hoping Buffy will come back because they miss her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Xander says she can't just show up because she's been kicked out of school. Like, we have to remember that she's not allowed to come back to school, even if she was back, air quotes. So, yeah, so they just wander off, and then they just wish that they knew where she was and that she was okay, because they have not heard from her. Nobody's heard from her.
Yep.
So then we go to the beach, where Buffy is kind of just enjoying the sunset, I'm going to say. And then Angel comes up behind her.
Wraps his arms around
her, and they are just having a moment looking at the ocean, and they have, like, he says, she says, how'd you find me here? He's like, I'd find you, I'd see you if I was blind. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was a little
eye rolly. But then he says, I can't remember exactly what he says. Something like...
He says, I'll stay forever. I'll never leave even if you kill me.
He said that's forever, that's the whole point. I'll stay forever even if you kill me. Mm-hmm. So when he says that, she's like, what? That's a weird thing to say, Angel, even if you kill me. And of course that, like, makes her wake up from the dream. Yeah. And we see her walk over to... She wakes up in a dingy room.
A crappy apartment. Something... I know some things about crappy apartments. This has looked like some of my old apartments.
And she goes over to the window and looks out. It's like a really bad neighborhood. There's like a cop car going by. And it's like a city street.
So I when I saw that, I was like, oh, she's in Oakland. But they don't actually say that. But it looks like she's in Oakland.
So your question, before we get to the credits, because there are some new things in the credits that are very exciting. But before we get to the credits, I forgot that they didn't explicitly say where she went in this episode. But she does go to L.A., she went to LA, and specifically where she's living is like the 11th Street on like south side of LA.
Oh wait, how do they say?
They don't say it. Oh, this is the internet.
I was like, how did you find that? Oh, okay.
And some of these scenes that we will see in this episode, like some of these shots that we will see in this episode, show up later on a different show.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
they are repurposed.
Oh, you can do that?
Yes.
Huh. Wow.
On a different show, these show up. And I guess I'll tell you in a couple of seasons.
Wait, you can't tell me now?
I can't tell you. On the spinoff. Because there is a Buffy's...
Angel spinoff.
There's a Buffy spinoff.
Angel, right?
I don't know.
I mean, I know there's an Angel spinoff. But it doesn't make sense since he's dead. Oh, interesting. I just remember there being an Angel spinoff. I don't remember if there was any other spinoffs.
I don't know. But we will repurpose some of these images from this episode. Some of the like the gritty downtown like
Oakland,
like bad neighborhood images. We'll see those again. So then we go to the credits, and I couldn't remember when this happened, and I didn't look it up. I was just every time there was a credits, I was like, when does it happen? When does it happen? When we get the new official, what we know as today, Buffy logo.
Oh, I missed it.
Because the logo has changed.
Oh, shoot. I didn't even notice that.
So
I'm the worst.
Oh, I mean, I had a picture of it I had it on a thing over here, but I put it away. But like the very like, iconic Buffy logo starts in this episode and then goes on to through season 7 and beyond. So, yeah, if you look at the logo has been reimagined, and the theme song was re-recorded.
Okay.
It's a better, like, remastered, like, a higher quality.
Yeah, okay.
And it was a little bit like the tempo or something was a bit off musically. I'm not the person to ask about that in the first recording, because they were like, we have to do it like in one, like, we have to do it in like 2 takes. And so, like, now they had like more money, more time, and they hadn't heard to like re-record it like at a higher quality. So the credits have gotten a revamp.
Okay.
No pun intended. And Seth Green has been added to the
cast
credits
list. Yeah, okay.
as well.
Yep.
So hopefully
Oz.
that means we'll be seeing a lot more Oz. All right, so we come back and we're in the diner. It's Helen's kitchen, I think. I know she walks by Helen's kitchen later,
okay.
so I'm thinking it's probably Helen's kitchen.
Okay.
So Buffy's working as a waitress.
She's a waitress wearing one of those cute little waitress outfits.
Yeah, and her hair is in little braids, very cute. And we see her waiting on a table of these assholes, who she gives her the bill, and he says, "Oh, wouldn't you rather me work it off?" And then the other guy, she just walks away, and the other guy slaps her ass.
And then she
away.
pauses, though, and turns around as if she's going to do something about it, and then she doesn't. And
Yeah, she just walks away. She just keeps walking.
Yeah.
So she walks up to this couple who are, like, kind of, like, PDAing, like, all cuddling and, like, in love, and they're like,
Very high school romance.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, because they are, like, high school age kids, so. I'm like, they're, like, her age. Like, they're teenagers. She wants to order cake. I didn't like how he was like, "Don't be stupid." Remember when he said that?
No.
Don't be stupid. We have to eat healthy.
Oh.
We're gonna have pie. I don't like how he said,
Yeah,
"Don't be
that's
stupid"
right.
to her,
That's
which is a little bit mean.
Yeah.
So they're gonna order peach pie, which Buffy cannot guarantee that there's a peach in it,
Yeah.
which is a good line.
And they're trying to pay in change. Like, they're just counting out all these little coins,
Yeah, and that's all they have because they blew all their money on matching tattoos.
which is a great idea when you've known someone
When
for,
you're
a few weeks or whatever.
and you're homeless.
You're homeless. And you're a teenager.
Yeah, all great decisions have led
But
them to
I
this
will
moment.
say, as a former waitress, that people do try to pay and change a lot.
I believe it. Yeah. So their tattoo is like half of a heart on each one. That like they put their arm together on their forearm and it makes
With
a full
their
heart
names.
with each other's names.
Don't do it, kids.
Don't do it. Don't be like Richie and Lily, and that's their names, Richie and Lily.
Don't do it. So Buffy, or the girl Lily, recognizes Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Hey, don't I know you from somewhere or something?" And Buffy's like, "Nope," and then skedaddles out.
Yeah, and leaves. So at this point, did you recognize Lily?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Did you ever, even when she told her, like, did you remember?
Not really. I was just like, huh.
Okay.
My brain is like not as great as Ashley's though.
Well, I've also seen this show like 15,000 times.
Memory. Gold
So
screen.
if you remember in what was the episode called? Oh gosh, and it was the one with Ford with the vampire like cult, where her friend Ford comes back and he's dying of the brain cancer, and he wants to like.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
then she's like one of those. Yeah.
She's one of the cult followers.
Oh, yeah.
Chantrell, but she's going by a different name.
I do kind of remember her because she like Buffy came in like to go a downstairs thing.
Yeah,
or
she-
whatever,
yeah,
and then
mhm.
she was there at the stairs, and she was just like
And she's like, "We want this," and like
Yeah.
all this. So
she was drinking the Kool-Aid pretty hard.
yeah, and she obviously is not the first Kool-Aid. We find out that she drinks. She's
Yes.
obviously a
She's a
very
Kool-Aid
gullible,
drinker.
susceptible person that's been in multiple cults.
Shifts around, cult to cult.
Yeah.
Yes, I did recognize her actually after that. Not right away though.
Yeah,
after.
so that's where we know her from. So that's why she recognizes Buffy, because Buffy has saved her ass before. So Buffy is like, "Ooh, I don't like that you like recognize me from some like obviously I've saved you at some point."
this is my new life, my new crappy life.
Yeah, so she immediately says, "Hey, I'm sick. Can you
Cover for me.
can you cover for me?" and leaves. But something else that happens is Buffy says to them about their tattoos, "Oh, that's very like very nice and very permanent." And Richie says, "It's forever, isn't that the point?" or something along those lines, which is exactly what Angel said to her in her dream. And that really throws her
Oh,
as
I
well.
didn't catch that.
Yeah, that really throws her, and then she's like, "I gotta leave." So I think it's a mixture of like being thrown by like that Angel's line being repeated to her back, and then like, "Do I know you?" You know.
Yeah.
So she has someone else cover for her, and she leaves. At the library, it's very hectic because it's the first day of school. So obviously everybody's getting their books, and Giles actually has to do his like job that he like
His job.
His actual job.
Actual job. that he's supposed to be
his day
doing.
job
His day job.
as a librarian. So he's getting everybody checked out, and Willow is getting books, and they're kind of talking about, very openly with a lot of people around them,
Yep.
how they're trying to be careful when they're patrolling, because obviously they don't have a Slayer with them, and Giles is concerned about their safety.
He's telling them that they need to be careful. Like, he seems very nervous about it.
Yeah, it's part of our mission statement. Don't get killed. Like, we're doing good. We're okay. Cordelia comes in, back from vacation, and is talking to Willow.
She's talking about how Mexico wasn't fun because it wasn't, like, fancy enough for her.
They had made it, at the resort, they made them have organized fun. Like, made them have fun. She didn't like that. And she asked, like, where's Xander? He's around, you know, he's around. And she's kind of worried. Like, did he meet anybody? Of course he didn't meet anybody. Like, how's my hair? Like, she's obviously, like, not sure what's going on with her and Xander.
She's nervous, too.
Mm-hmm.
They're cute. They just need to communicate a little more.
And then, so she runs off, and Oz is in school. He's come up to her, he's got books, and Willow's like, oh, did you come to visit me? And he says, actually, I've re-enrolled. You remember, like, when I didn't graduate? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, but I know you had incompletes, but that's what summer school is for. And he's like, yeah, remember when I didn't go to summer school? Oz, I'm like, Oz in this episode, I'm like, this doesn't seem like a Willow guy.
Nope.
You know what I mean? He's not taking his future very seriously.
Nope.
He's not motivated.
Yeah.
Like, I love Oz. But, like, it does seem like they are, like, not opposites in this episode.
Yeah, she's not
And she does...
super happy about
Yeah,
it.
and she does, like, express that
Yep.
she's like, I don't know about this. So this is actually a very long kind of walk and talk scene where it moves to everybody, all these different people. And we go, Larry is back in school, like, back on the football team. Remember, Larry is the guy that came out to Xander, the bully, who I think worked through his issues about being gay, and he's no longer such an asshole. Because we saw at the end of that episode where he, like, was helping a girl that had, like, dropped her books or whatever. So Larry's talking to another person on the football team, like, this is our year. We're going to, like, do great. If we just not have so many mysterious deaths, we're really going to do well.
Funny. Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, so hopefully he's still, like, growing and changing and being a better person and not being a bully anymore. And then we see that Xander and Cordelia have an awkward reunion.
Yeah, like, they both kind of built it up, and then...
I feel like they were both waiting for the other one to make the first move and, like, make a declaration that they are, like, back to normal or back together or whatever. And neither of them really wanted to take the plunge, so they just kind of were like,
super awkward.
see you later.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, nice to see you. And then they just, like,
And that was
separated.
it.
We also in the scene, it kind of, like, goes around
She's
to
like-
Willow and Oz
She
a few
says-
times.
She said something about repeating a grade isn't exactly a turn on.
Yeah, he's like, I thought it would cute. And I don't think Willow would ever think flunking
No.
a grade is cute.
It's not cute.
That's not for her.
No. I wouldn't find that cute either.
Yeah, so she's like, yeah, you're a genius. You missed your test scores, but you didn't graduate from high school. So, yeah.
It's not sexy.
No, and I'm glad she didn't, like, just, like, her character kind of, like, felt that was, because that's not Willow. That does not seem like somebody that Willow would be interested in. Someone that
And
does
it
that.
seems like she could have just pretended to make him happy or whatever, but she didn't.
Yeah.
good.
So I'm glad that they called that out, that Willow, that's not something Willow would find attractive.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they called that out. In Buffy's room, looks like she was in the middle of opening, like, some SpaghettiOs and just stopped. Is just, like, staring at the SpaghettiOs, like, just out in a trance, in a daydream. And it's obvious that she, like, lives in a bad part of town.
Yeah, well, she was walking around and she sees a homeless person, and the homeless person says, I'm no one.
I am no one, which is important to know.
Interesting. Which I was just like, that's weird.
So we go to the library, and Giles has gotten a lead from a friend in Oakland. In Kimmy's hood. About a girl fending off a group of vampires.
Literally the hood, by the way.
And he's very, like, agitated. He's like, there's a flight that leaves in an hour. I'm like, is there flights from... I mean, there probably is. From Oakland to,
Sunnyvale?
like, Santa Barbara area. But if it's sunny, because, you know, there's multiple locations Sunnydale could be. If it's Sunnyvale, where, like, near where we live, there's no flight to Oakland. You can't fly. I mean, unless you were, like, in a little, like...
But if they're in Southern California, I guess, and, like, Oakland does have an airport.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just mean, like... Yeah, I guess... I would just, like, kind of, like... It made me, like, raise an eyebrow. Like, you're flying to Oakland? Okay. But, yeah, I guess it's possible if you're, like, on a really small plane.
Yeah, well, and he has to, like, be back for school tomorrow, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is possible to, like, get a plane to take him. Like, a smaller plane. It's like, it's not like it's impossible, but... Yeah, when he says, like, what thing that threw me was, like, okay, I'll get to another thing that threw me about it. But Willow and Xander aren't really, like, oh my god, yeah, yes, because this is, like...
Well, Xander even says, what's the difference between this and the last 9 leads? And he's like, I don't mean to poop the party here.
Yeah.
Which is a weird
So
thing.
this is, like, okay, another one that's not going to pan out.
Yep.
So they're not excited. So we know that the whole summer, Giles has been running off,
trying to find her.
following leads to find Buffy. So they're just like, this is just going to be another dead end. And
He's not giving up, though.
when Xander says, what's different about this flight? Giles says, oh, I think there's a meal on this flight. There is no meal on this flight, okay? There's no meal on a flight that short.
Be an hour flight.
Yeah. So I was just like, this is all wrong. And it distracted me.
Yeah, but Willow, she says that he should stay hopeful. And then Xander says that he thinks she'll be found when she wants to be found, which sounds very accurate.
Yeah. They're not just going to stump. They're not going to find her.
Nope.
When she wants to be revealed, she will.
Yep.
Okay, on the street, Buffy is walking, and Lily/Chantrell catches up with her.
Chantrell.
And she's like, Anne. Oh, we forgot to even mention that Buffy is going by Anne.
Oh, yeah, it was on her waitress tag uniform.
Yeah, and Richie, like, looks at her and calls her Anne.
Yeah.
So Chantrell is like, Anne, and Buffy's not responding to it because
And then...
she doesn't really...
And then she says Buffy, and Buffy turns right around like, oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
Dum-dum.
And then she finally says, like, yo, I went by the name Chantrell. I was in a vampire cult. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I remember you.
Yeah.
And she basically says, like, did you tell anybody who I was? And she's like, no, I didn't tell anybody. I know what it's like when you need to disappear.
Yeah.
So
which is sad for a teenager.
Yeah, they're like teenage runaways. Yeah. And this is when we find out that Lily was also in a cult. She called herself Sister Sunshine, another cult.
Right.
And she changes her name all the time, like, for different situations.
And we find that Anne is actually Buffy's middle name.
Yeah, so
Which I didn't know.
Lily wants to know where she got Anne, and she said, this is my middle name. Buffy Ann Summers is Buffy's name. So Lily asks if Buffy has any money, because they could go to a rave together.
Which sounds super fun.
Yeah, could go to a rave.
Weird.
And Buffy's like, no, that's too much for me. Like, I just want to be alone. And she's like, oh, sorry. And she's like, I don't mean that. I just mean there's too many people there. And they have, like, this awkward kind of conversation.
And then Buffy tries to give her money so her and her dude could go to the
Her and Richie can go. And then they get bumped into. But before that, she does say, like, oh, where do you live where do you stay to Lily? And Lily, basically, they just squat in abandoned buildings. Like, there's a bunch of abandoned buildings that people stay in.
Again, so sad.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of wonder what happened to Lily. Like, why she's a runaway, you know?
Yeah, and, like, Buffy kind of tried to ask, like, well, what do they call you at home? And she wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't talk about her, like,
So it
real
seems
name
like-
or her home life or
Feels
anything.
like she must have had a rough life, maybe.
Yeah. So they get bumped into by this, like, homeless guy that's kind of just, like, stumbling through the street. And she says, like, are you okay? And he says, I am no one. I'm no one.
Again, so this is the second time we've heard this.
Yeah, and he stumbles into the street, and he stops, and a car is about to hit him, and Buffy jumps into the street and pushes him out of the way, and she gets hit.
Yeah.
She gets hit by the car. The guy jumps out of the car. He's like, oh my god, like, all these, like, bystanders run over, make sure she's okay. And Lily's there. And she's like, oh, I'm fine. And she just, like, runs off. Like, she doesn't want any attention brought to her. Because they were like, oh, call an ambulance. And she doesn't want any official people or any, like, anybody from, like, anything but, like, cops or EMTs or anything, like, paying attention to her. So she runs into this guy, and a bunch of flyers go everywhere. And we had seen this guy earlier, that he approached a homeless person and was like, oh, can I, like, talk to you? Like, can I show you this flyer? But now we see the flyers, and it's for a place called the Family Home. So it's basically, like, they don't say that right, but it's basically like a teen runaway outreach program where they, like, bring them in, give them food, maybe give them somewhere to live, like, try to, like a halfway house for, like, teen runaways.
Yep.
And so he kind of encourages her to check it out, you know, and she's, like, not interested.
Yeah.
But he kind of, like, puts out the olive branch to her if she wants to come to the family home.
And he seems like a cult leader, just FYI. He looks like a cult leader to me.
Yeah.
I don't know, like one of those weird Jesus-y ones.
Yeah. So we're at the Bronze, and the band playing, it's called Belly Love, which makes sense because her belly's showing. Maybe that's their thing.
Interesting.
And Willow and Xander are sadly watching the band, like, just not feeling it.
They're depressed, yeah.
They're depressed. Willow is depressed because she's like, doesn't feel the same without Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
And Xander is depressed because Cordelia, he thinks, has just moved on.
Yeah. He's overanalyzing everything.
Yeah, that she had an affair with the Cabana boy named something. I can't remember what his name was. But that she had an affair with a Cabana boy on vacation, and now she's not really sure what she wants to do. And then Oz comes over, and they talk about slaying, and they think they're getting better at it.
They just need to work on their timing.
And Xander sees Cordelia, and he's like, actually, what we need is bait to help with our
Which is
slaying.
great when you're dating someone.
Yeah,
Use her as bait.
again, Cordelia's always bait.
Great boyfriend material right there.
Now, this is an interesting scene. So we go to Buffy's house, and we see Joyce.
This scene pissed me off.
Joyce for the first time in this season, and since she had that fight with Buffy. And she's doing her bills, and there's a knock on the door, and it's Giles. And he's filling her in that the Oakland lead was a dead end. Mm-hmm. And so he's obviously been keeping contact with Joyce, letting her know, like, what he's up to. Like, he's looking for Buffy.
And he says, no Buffy, no vampires, just kids with heavy makeup. Which made me laugh.
I didn't even remember that. That's funny. And Joyce feels guilty about how it went down with Buffy. The last thing we did
feel guilty.
was fight, and...
But she said, don't come home. If you leave, don't come home. So that's what
So
Buffy
if you
did.
walk out that door, don't even think about coming back.
Bye.
And Giles tries to, like, help her and be like, you know, it's not your fault that she left. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty about it. And she's like, no, I don't, or you shouldn't blame yourself. And she says, I don't blame myself. I blame you.
And what the fork is that? I was actually very taken aback by that reaction.
I think Giles was, too.
He was. And not only was he taken aback, but he looked stricken by that. And whatever she said, he hadn't been thinking that before, but he sure is thinking it now.
Right. And
she's the worst.
I know, you are like the treasurer / co-founder of the anti-Joyce
I
fan
tried
club.
to give her a chance.
You do.
But no, she's just let me down too many times.
Yeah, and she's like, you have so much influence on her. Because, like, I think Giles was more of an influence in Buffy's life than Joyce.
Because she's
which is true.
around more. Or he's around more.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say, but...
And she's like, he guides her, and they had a whole relationship behind her back. So... When I was thinking about this scene, I was thinking that sometimes when you react to something, it's more about yourself than others.
She's projecting.
Exactly. She feels like she wasn't there. So she's just not come to terms with that and taking it out on him, which isn't fair.
Yeah, I don't think she's ready to really take a look at herself yet.
No, clearly.
And Giles, like, show some, like, even if she has, like, some problems with him. Okay. Whatever.
Show some respect.
But he's out there flying all over the fucking world.
Trying to find her.
Looking for her daughter. I don't see her doing anything.
She's not doing anything.
So, yeah, like, they are a little bit at odds about the relationship with Buffy. Back at the diner, Buffy's doing her, like, what do they call it, sides? When you, like, fill up your your ketchup bottles and your, like, sugar and all that. Isn't that called doing your sides?
Oh, we called it refills.
Okay, someone let me know. I think that's, like, the slang for waitresses doing your side work.
An American one?
I don't know. I thought that's what it's called.
Okay.
Anyway, so I could be completely off. But she's doing her work, like, refilling her stuff, and Willie comes in saying that Richie has disappeared.
Yep.
He's been gone for more than a day. It's not like him to take off, and that she's worried that something could have happened. Mm-hmm. Buffy says, did you call the police? And she's like, yeah, Richie skipped out on his parole. So I don't really want to do that.
Like a winner.
Yeah, he's like great. So I don't want to call the police. So I just wonder if you could help me. You know, you're good at this kind of stuff. And Buffy's like, not interested. Not interested in getting involved in this stuff again. Because I think Buffy, once again, has retired as the Slayer.
She's trying to.
She's trying
not
to.
Good at retiring.
No, she's not good. You know, destiny thing, you know, fate, whatever. It's hard to escape for her. So she, like, kind of, like, pleads with her. And she's like, okay, we'll just go, like, check out some of the places that you guys frequent together. So that she gives in and is gonna help her. They go to the blood bank, and she says they come there, Lily says that they come there, her and Ricky, they give them some money and cookies. So they come there often to, like, get some cash.
That's nice.
So they ask the lady if Ricky's been in, she's going to check the list for them. And then while she's checking, Buffy says that they should split up and, like, look at some of the places they hang out.
This is actually my favorite line. Buffy says, this will probably go faster if we split up. Lily says, can I come with you? And Buffy says, okay, where did I lose you on this whole splitting up thing?
Poor Lily.
It was cute, though.
Buffy,
She
like,
doesn't want to be
like-
alone. It's fine.
Yeah.
She's not going to be alone.
Not all there. And Lily is a follower. 100%. So I think she just wants to follow Buffy around until Buffy, like, figures this out.
That's right.
For her. So the lady comes back and says, "Nope, he's not on the list, but if he comes, I'll let him know. If he comes, I'll let him know you're looking for him," and they leave. And then the lady gives a very weird look.
Yeah, she does.
So we don't think she's being truthful.
No.
So we go to an abandoned building. So Lily's off looking somewhere, and Buffy's checked out like one of the abandoned buildings that they sleep in sometimes.
She sees an old man.
She, like, looks around. There's, like, people kind of just milling about. It's dark. It looks dingy and yuck. And she sees an old man laying on the ground with a bottle of drain cleaner next to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's weird.
So it looks like he's killed himself.
Yeah.
And she bends down to check his pulse and notices that he's got the Lily tattoo.
Yeah.
What?
How is this even
How is that possible? And she's like, Richie? And she's, like, confused. So back at Buffy's apartment, Lily's already there waiting for Buffy because they were going to meet up at her apartment. And Buffy tells Lily that she found, like, she thinks Richie is dead.
Yeah, which is a lot to take in.
Yeah, and Lily, really doesn't. Buffy's going through a lot, but she really does not give much compassion to Lily in this scene. She's like, deal with it. You know what I mean? And, like,
because she has her own stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to be involved in this anyway.
Yeah. So she says, I went to one of the houses you guys squat at, and I found this person, and he was like 80 years old. She's like, well, that wasn't him. And I would say the same thing. I'm like, well, the guy was 80 years old. It wasn't Richie. And
but she's like, it looked like something drained the life out of him, not like in a vampire way, though.
Mm-hmm. And because, like, she was like, was it a vampire? She's like, no. And she's like, well, did you have something to do with this? Because, like, where you go, kind of, like, things follow. And Buffy's been accused of that before, kind of, like.
Yeah, which isn't fair.
Things happen around Buffy. So some people around her are collateral damage, like.
I feel like things just happen. It just happens that she notices, and other people might not notice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's like, we met you, and now he's dead. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's something there. So Buffy is not being compassionate to Lily, and Lily is accusing Buffy of being responsible for it. So not a good conversation for anybody. She says maybe it was something in his blood.
Yeah, she asked when did you last donate blood?
When you donate blood. So, and then they basically have a fight. And yeah, she says you have to, like, face it.
Yep.
Which, like, okay, pot calling the kettle black. You literally ran away from your entire life. You're not facing it. Which I think isn't lost on Buffy by the end of this episode.
Yeah, actually, I think she does realize that.
Yeah. So on the street, that flyer guy, who's named Ken approaches Lily.
Oh, he swoops right in there.
Yeah, because Lily's kind of just, like,
vulnerable.
She's, like, kind of crying. She's just, like, sitting there in, like, an alleyway. Like, she doesn't know what to do or where to go. And he says, oh, you wouldn't be like Lily, would you? Or something about, like, Richie. And she's like, are you Lily? And she's like, oh, do you know Richie? He's like, yeah, he's at family home. Like, he talks about you. Come on, I'll take you to him. And she's like, okay.
And how does she not realize this is a trap?
Because she's not bright. She's not bright. She's such a follower. She'll believe anything. She's been in several cults. Like, I'm not surprised. She was like, okay, somebody take care of me.
Like, this man in the sketchy alley is like, hey, you want to come to my car and see my puppy? I have candy.
Yeah, in a button-up shirt.
Come with me.
Yeah. She's like, okay. So Buffy, even though she's kind of like, probably, it seemed like she'd washed her hands of the situation. She can't.
Nope.
So she goes back to the blood bank.
And she breaks right in there.
She breaks into the files, and now I did not catch this myself. I saw on the internet, and then I had to go back and I had to pause it and everything. So when she's opening the one file, and it scans down, and you see the word candidate.
Yeah.
If you pause it, right, like, where it cuts off from the shot, it says Blood Bank of Sunnydale. So that was, like, a goof.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because, like, whoever made the prop was like, oh, they're in Sunnydale. But she's not in Sunnydale right now.
That's so
that was just a little goof. But it does say that person's file is a candidate.
Yes.
So that's suspicious to Buffy.
And the blood bank lady comes out, and she's like, what are you doing here? Also, what is she doing there when it's locked up at night?
Yeah, what are you doing here, bitch?
I mean, yeah.
And Buffy doesn't even flinch, turn around.
She's like, I don't care.
Breaking into your files. And she's like, I'm going to call the police. And she just Buffy just rips the phone out of the wall. Never even looks up from the files. I love it.
And she's like, candidate for what?
Yeah. What are these candidates for? And the nurse kind of gives it up pretty quickly. She's like, I only give them the names of the healthy ones.
Yeah.
And she's like, give them to who?
Yeah.
Like, who are you giving the names of the healthy ones to? Because under Ricky's file, it said that he was a candidate. So at the family home, Ken is taking Lily for a cleansing. And she's been changed. He says, oh, you don't want to get your real clothes wet. So she's like in this, what would you call that?
Was it waitress?
No. It was like a burlap sack.
Oh, I don't even
like a moo-moo or something. Like a big thing. A big, like, burlap sack thing.
Okay, I guess I don't remember.
And she says, oh, is that like a baptism? Because I'm sure she's been baptized into all these cults, I'm sure. Sister Sunshine doesn't get a sister without a cleansing. So she's like, oh, this is like my 15th one. Like, it's fine. So after this is going to happen, then she'll be taken to Richie. Doesn't sound suspect at all. Like, great. So now we're back in Sunnydale in the graveyard, and Cordelia is going to be the bait.
Why do I have to be bait?
Yeah, always the bait. And Xander and Cordelia argue about being the bait.
Go act baity.
And she's like, where do I hide? He's like, you don't hide. Like, you're the bait. And then she's like, what's the plan? He's like, oh, the vampire kills you and we're all happy. And so, like, while they're, like, sniping at each other.
The vampire's actually trying to creep up on them.
Approaching Willow. Because Willow's just
Willow, okay, yeah.
like, annoyed, like, come on, guys. And she's hiding, waiting for them to get their shit together. And then the vampire is, like, creeping up behind Willow. So at the family house, Buffy shows up. She's like, oh, this was my favorite line, but I'm going to have to, like, I'll read it later in its entirety. But she's like, you know what? I just woke up this morning, looked in the mirror, I'm like, what's with all the sin?
Oh, yeah.
She's like,
she's so bad with sex and envy.
What's with all the sin? Like, so she's like, I just had to come here and, like, get my act together. And they're just, like, looking at her, not buying it. And she's like, I'm just so bad at this. Like, I'm so bad. Where's Ken?
I suck at undercover.
Like, I suck at undercover. Where's Ken?
And then she just breaks it.
And then, they go to close the door, and she just bursts the door open. Ken is trying to
trying to cleanse her.
There's, like, a little pool.
But it looks, like, dark.
Yeah, it's, like, black.
It's creepy looking. Like, and she's looking at this like, I don't know about this.
She's like, that's kind of dirty.
Yeah, you're gonna do this.
Like, when was the last time you had a shower, Lily? I wouldn't be complaining about the dirty water.
And then she's putting her hand in.
Yeah, and so she's about to go into this pool of somethingness, and Buffy breaks in, and when Ken and Buffy are kind of confronting each other, like, I think as a hand comes out.
Yes.
And pulls Lily in. Pulls Lily in.
Like, what is that?
So she just disappears into this, like, underneath the water.
Tar thing.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not even water. It's like it looks like when you, like, touch a waterbed. And it's like,
yes.
like that.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Buffy and Ken, like, kind of, like, grapple, and they both end up falling in with Lily through the water, or the whatever it is.
Yep.
The Brea tar pits is, like, what it looks like.
It's just not great.
So they fall into this room. Like, so in the family house, the portal is in the floor, but they fall through the ceiling of the next room.
Yeah.
So they fall, like, from the ceiling to the floor, which is, like, quite a distance.
Yeah.
So everybody, Lily, Ken, and Buffy are all like, oh, that hurt. And Ken is like, oh, my face. You know how hard it is for me to glue this on? And he, like, pulls off his human face.
Off.
Yeah, and it's, like, a demon face underneath. So
that was not what I was expecting. I kind of had a feeling he was a shady guy, but...
But you thought he was human?
Think he was going to be a demon. No, yeah,
oh,
I for sure thought he was human.
So Ken is a demon, and now he's got Buffy and Lily down there, and he knocks Buffy out. But first we see...
Well, first, they see a workshop when humans are slaves.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of sparks.
Weird vats?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
No,
we never learn, like,
explain it.
what they're making or what they're doing.
But it looks like, I mean, this is one of the scariest episodes, I would think.
Yeah?
To think about stuff like that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a factory.
Slave.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, yeah, there's, like, lots of, like, the people with, like, demons with whips.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, Ken knocks Buffy unconscious. We're back in the graveyard, and Xander and Cordelia are still arguing while Willow gets attacked.
She yells for help.
Yeah, she yells for help. They run over. Oz tries to help, but he gets, like, pushed away immediately.
Yeah, he's
poor Oz.
What kind of werewolf is he?
Yeah, he needs to, like, be able to, like, wolf out on command.
Right?
He
or
needs
at least,
to learn
like,
that.
hone his werewolf skills to his human self.
True.
I feel like other werewolves do that in other movies or
other
shows
universes.
Jacob the werewolf. Come on.
So, yeah, oh god, there's too many people running around. Oz, no. Cordelia and Xander run over, and Xander is kind of tuffling with the vampire and kind of losing. And Cordelia runs over and, like, tackles them to save Xander.
Yeah, so I was kind of kicking
This is kind of interesting because Xander does have a stake, and when they all fall over on each other, the vampire comes down on the stake that Xander is holding, and he dusts, so Cordelia falls on top of Xander. Is this kind of an interesting little, like...
Yeah, it was cute,
It was clever.
And then they kiss passionately.
And now they're just like... blah, 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 blah. The only thing that those two can do. So I guess they're fine now. They've made up. In a jail cell down in the... whatever it is, the foundry or the factory.
Yeah, Lily knew she belonged in hell.
Yeah, Buffy wakes up with a pretty serious head injury, and Lily's just sitting there. There's like a, did you notice a like dead body right next to her?
I
like,
don't think I
slash skeletons, like half meaty, half skeleton body next to her on the bed. And yeah, she says, I always knew I'd have to appear in hell, and Buffy's like, this isn't hell. And Ken
seems like it
over.
is, though.
And it's interesting that Ken comes over and says, like, what is hell? It's just the absence of all hope.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting quote. I was like, okay. And so basically, he says that...
yeah, Ricky remembered her. He remembered her name years after he'd forgot his own.
Yeah, that was so sweet. Sad, but very sweet. Like, that Ricky, like, it was the real
really
deal.
Loved her.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, he... Basically, how that happened was that in the demon dimension that they're in, time goes faster.
1 Earth Day equals
100 long years.
So,
there is 1 Earth Day. Yeah, and then they just spit them back out as old people.
Yeah, and then they're just old homeless people saying, I am no one, or whatever.
Yeah, saying I am no one, yeah. So, yeah, it's sad that Richie, like, forgot everything, but she was the last thing he remembered.
And yeah, that's basically why they pick people, is they pick people like Richie and Lily, because nobody's going to come looking for them.
Yeah, and also that they know that they will live a long life. They have their tests, their blood tests, like, indicate that they're in good health. Yeah. So nobody will miss them. They're young.
What test is that? I want that blood test.
And that they don't have any obvious health issues. Yeah. So that's who they try to go after. And Buffy's like, yeah, well, you didn't pick me. She's like, yeah, that wasn't really the plan, Ken says. But I know who you are, Anne. He never calls her a slayer, but I think he knows who she is.
He has an idea.
So they are put to work. They're put in, like, a line. And another demon, like, foreman or whatever, is asking, like, you do nothing but work. And you don't laugh or anything. Like, you don't do anything but work if you want to live. And so he goes down. He's like, you are no one now. Like, you have no identity, essentially. And he asks someone, like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Aaron. And he just kills him.
Yep.
Poor Aaron.
That's not fair.
You didn't get the, like, opportunity, like, to get the drill.
I guess he's supposed to be the warning. So
because
when he asks the next person, they say, I am no one.
Yeah. So Lily gets asked, she says, I am no one. And then they go to Buffy, and she says, I'm Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, and you are? Which I think is only one of 2 times that she ever says Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, interesting.
I think later, 5, 6, 7, somewhere later in the seasons, she says that. But this is the first time she, like, calls herself by that.
And then she takes out 2 guards and says, anyone not having fun here, come with me.
Yeah, she takes them out. She's like, come with me, you're not having a great time. So they all run. That little group runs with Buffy. And she tells Lily to get everyone out. And Lily does try to apologize for saying, like, I sorry I blamed you for this. She's like, we can talk about that later when we're alive. Like, please go. Yeah. And then an alarm goes off. So I like when Buffy's like, we've gone public. I thought that was a cute line. Like, the secret's out. They know that there's, like, a little rebellion going on. So Lily tries to get everyone out, and Buffy just basically is a distraction and, like, runs through the factory, and they're starting to be chased. She's starting to be chased. And she gets up on this, like, platform thing, and they're just all coming up onto the platform, and she's just like, it's a good fight scene.
Yeah, it is, actually.
And she's just fighting them all.
All the guards.
All the guards. And we get a really cool shot of Buffy, like, that's in the credits for many years to come, where she's just like, it's just like a power shot of her, like a superhero shot of her with her weapons, waiting for another person to come up. It's a really good shot. So she's a total badass in the scene, like, fighting all these demons. And then we see Ken, when on the way out, trying to get out, we see Ken grab Lily.
Of course.
And, yeah. And he kind of calls Buffy up, and he has, like, a knife to Lily's throat.
And he's going to kill her.
He's going to kill her. He's like, when one of you do something, you all suffer. So now everybody's going to suffer because Buffy tried to do this. And he kind of, like, sets Lily to the side. He's like, starts doing this speech. And he's like, this is the cost of He starts to say rebellion. And then Lily pushes him over the edge because they're, like, up on this, like, ledge.
Into, like, a vat, right?
I think.
I know.
I
Okay.
don't think on the floor. I think he just hits the ground, I think.
Right.
But he's like, rebellion!
Oh, yeah. Actually, know what I wrote? Ken splat. So.
Yeah,
I
and
guess
he hits the ground.
Yeah.
And then that gives Buffy another opportunity to start fighting. And then what happens? Then Buffy and all the group and everybody, there's no way that's everyone that's down there. But
They escape this small group.
I think it's supposed to, like, imply that everyone got out. Because I feel like Buffy wouldn't leave people down there.
No.
But,
She wouldn't.
yeah. They only had, like, 5 extras to use. So Buffy lifts this, like, huge gate to, like, so everybody can get out from underneath.
Yeah,
and she's
that's
like,
a struggle.
yeah, she's like, it's really heavy. She's like, glutes, all of this, like, using everything. She's like, I'm going to feel this for a week. And everyone gets out. She starts to, like, slip out herself. And then Ken pushes her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gross.
And she falls. He falls forward. The gate comes down. And it, like, pierces because each of the rungs, like, perfectly, 2 of them pierce through his calves. So he's, like, pinned underneath it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, this scene was even gross.
It was gross. Mm-hmm. And so she has said this, like, demon weapon that she took from one of the demons. And, like, Lily comes over. And she's like, Ken, do you want to see my impression of Gandhi? And then she just basically smashes his head in. And she says, if he was really pissed off. So, and Lily's there. She's like, Gandhi? Yeah, if he was really pissed off. So they all are, like, helping each other, like, get up through the portal to get back into the human reality, I guess.
That weird tarp hole just disappears.
Yeah, they get out, and they're like, and Lily's like, what are we going to do about this? Like, it's just open. And then it kind of just, like, tiles over.
Yeah.
Like, it closes itself.
Weird.
They're like, okay, well, there you go.
We're all done now.
I guess it's fine now.
Okay.
And everybody gets out, even though it's only about, like, 4 other people. And there was a lot of people down there.
Buffy tries to help Lily out.
Yeah.
She gives her her apartment and says it's paid for the next 3 weeks and she can take her shifts at the diner.
Yeah, she's basically handing over Lily, handing over her life to her, that she's like, it's like semi-safe life. Like, she has somewhere, she has food, a place to live, a job.
Yep.
More than Lily has. So
she doesn't have to be in a cult to do it. She can just try to do her own thing and be her own person.
Yeah, so she says, I'm not good at taking care of myself, Lily, which is obvious from her history. And yeah, Buffy says it gets easier. It takes practice. And so she's going to she's going to call and, like, check in on her, which is nice. Not just leaving her, even though we never hear from her again. Spoiler alert. Yeah, so obviously Buffy is, like, leaving. We get that. She doesn't say that right, but obviously she's, like, giving her apartment, her job. She said, like, that the person at the diner can take over her job. And she says, can I be Anne? And Buffy just kind of smiles. So she's, like, giving her like, whole identity that she's built, because Buffy's going to be Buffy again. So we go to Buffy's house. Joyce is trying to get a fork that's stuck in the dishwasher. that's her little task. And she hears a knock on the door. And it is interesting, because at first she doesn't, like, seem to think anything, but as she, like, walks into the, like, the dining room, I think she thinks, like, it's different. It feels like she thinks it might be Buffy. And she opens the door and Buffy's there.
Yeah.
And they don't say anything, they just hug.
They just hug.
They just hug.
And that's it.
And so Buffy is back home, and that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
Anne is no more. Not really. So, my favorite line was, I just woke up and looked in the mirror and I thought, hey, what's with all the sin?
That was a good one.
I was like, her delivery was like half of it. Hey, what's with all the sin? It was great.
That was pretty funny.
And then my favorite scene was the back to school scene, like the long walk and talk, because so much happened. We get all the Oz stuff, the Cordelia and Xander stuff, and then Larry. I like Larry's little scene that we got, like his little like cameo about if we can just not have so many mysterious deaths, we're gonna win state.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Like, it's not lost on everyone, like how many people die in this school in this town. So I liked that little touch, and we get a lot of information there. It's all one big long shot, which is not easy to do. So from a film perspective, I thought it was impressive and I liked it. So that's the one I went with.
Cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, my favorite line again is Buffy says, this will probably go faster if we split up. And Lily says, can I come with you? And she says, okay, where did I lose you on the whole splitting thing? And then my favorite scene is actually when Giles talks about his lead in Oakland. And then he has that exchange with Xander, because, like, Xander's like, what's different about this than the last 9 leads? And it's just, like, it shows that Giles hasn't given up hope. And basically, I don't think the other Scoobies have given up hope per se, but they're just, it's not the same at least. Like, they're a little more despondent, and Giles is still, like, active, and he's still like, no, like, we're gonna figure this out. She's gonna come back. I'm gonna find her, or she's gonna come back, or whatever. And just seeing Giles,
I do really agree with you that the other one, like, Willow is hopeful, but they are despondent, I think. And Giles is, like,
they're also
still 100% watcher mode.
I want to say they're also teenagers.
Yeah.
So they have their teenage emotions.
We forget that they are teenagers.
I do. Like, I need to remind myself of that sometimes because their emotions are a lot different and heightened. So they're probably also, like, a little angry and, like, upset that she hasn't talked to them and they don't know what's going on. And, yeah, so that's...
Or even let them know that she's okay.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. Yeah. Hasn't told anybody. All right. So my stake rate, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I did too.
Oh, yay. I thought it was going to be lower.
Lower than that.
Yeah, nice. So the reasons I said that, I think, like, the plot was actually, the whole, like, demon dimension, slave, 100-year to a day thing, I thought that was pretty clever and original.
I liked that too.
I did think that was good. I found that entertaining. And I like that we got Lily back. It could have just been, like, it could have just been some random nobody, a new character that was gone and here gone, and some reason Buffy they could have rewrote it in a way that Buffy still helped her. Or Buffy felt compelled to help her. But I like that we brought back this little character again. And it worked perfectly, I feel like. It was seamless that Lily, like, it made sense for the character that Lily would be in this episode. And, like, it makes sense that she would be a runaway and she was in these cults and stuff. Like, it just was seamless. I thought it was good.
Yep.
I put Ken. Ken didn't really do it for me. I mean, I guess he was kind of creepy. But I don't know. I just feel like the casting wasn't there for me. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think that actor just didn't do it for me as Ken. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on why.
I'm going to actually disagree with you on that one because I've met Kens in real life.
Yeah, like, his character was fine, but I feel like they didn't cast the right person for it, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why. It just didn't feel, like, right on... I don't know. And I have no more evidence to back that up than a feeling. I thought the Giles and Joyce scene was really interesting.
Oh my god, yes.
Like, these are the two most important people in Buffy's life. They are at odds. Because, you know, Giles kind of, like, kept the secret as well. Buffy, at certain points, wanted to tell her mom about it. And Giles was like, nah.
No, you can't.
Nah.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is interesting between them because they really need to work together to be, like, good influence on Buffy and, like, be a team.
Yeah.
And then we have, like, Buffy's trauma is, like, a big, like, part of this episode. Like, it's not gonna, just like with the Master, it's not gonna go away in one episode. Like, Buffy is, like, went through a very traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Again. And she is not the most traumatic thing she'll ever go through. But up to this point it is. And this is just all about, like, how she's dealing with it. And she looks through a lens of Lily and is like, I can't be Lily. I can't become Lily.
Yeah.
Lily's, like, not facing all these issues and everything, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So by the end of it, she goes home, you know? So her trauma plays a big part in this episode.
Yeah. Okay, so also 4 to 5. I mean, a lot of the things you already said. That scene between Giles and Joyce just really, really fueled my intense dislike of Joyce. So I'll just say that. And then there was, like, even a part where they said, like, when Joyce was talking about they had a whole relationship behind her back. And Giles, who looked absolutely stricken in this scene, said, I didn't make Buffy who she is. And Joyce said, and who exactly is she?
Yeah.
It's just like...
That was a good thing to mention, yeah.
Yeah. But it just made me really dislike her. But yeah, I mean, she's her mom. She's trying her best, whatever, I guess. Single mom. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was good. Buffy, obviously running away from your problems is not ideal. But she needed the break, and she took the break, and I honestly don't think it was the worst thing in the world for her to do.
I feel like she did it with the Master, too. She went with her dad. She essentially ran away to LA that summer. Didn't talk to anybody. Like, didn't, like, keep in contact with people, really.
Yeah.
So this is a pattern with her.
Yeah. And then, yeah, other than that, I liked the demon thing, too. I thought this was a good, interesting episode. The thing that stuck with me at the end was just how Buffy was kind of trying to help Lily out by getting her set up so she doesn't have to fall back into her old habits, and hopefully she'll be able to do that.
Yeah, hopefully the no cult leaders wander into the diner.
Yeah.
Because then she's a goner.
Poor Lily.
She will be running off to another cult. Yeah, but you know,
It was fine. I guess I was expecting a little more for a season
premiere.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What is that word? Yeah. But yeah, it's fine.
There are better season premieres.
I'm sure there are.
I think we've had better season premieres already.
Probably, yeah.
I'm trying to remember, what was the second season
I don't
premiere?
remember, actually.
Oh, when she comes back from LA. Yeah, when she comes back from LA and is like giving Angel the cold shoulder.
Oh yeah, I think that was a better episode, actually.
And Welcome to the Hellmouth is like the first one. The first episode ever, obviously, is amazing. Yeah, so we will continue. So now Buffy's back home, so there's going to be a lot of fallout. Because she, like, didn't even give them the, she left her mom a note, which we never got to read or hear what was on it, but
she didn't check in with anybody.
yeah, she could have been her or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Giles didn't believe that because he's like, she's the most capable child, which she is a child. And, technically.
Yeah.
Even though she's actually grown up a lot quickly. But he doesn't think she's in any danger because she's very capable of taking care of herself.
Yeah.
But from Joyce's perspective, that's her child, and she's run off to who knows where, and, you know. So yeah, Buffy's gonna have a lot of fallout with school, her mom, her friends, her watcher. She's a lot of stuff to come back to. And then she's got her own, like, stuff that she's still dealing with. So it's going to be a lot to unpack in this next episode. People aren't going to be hugging and kissing forever. When the happiness calms down, they're going to be like,
they'll have to get over it.
What the fuck, Buffy? You know? So, okay. So Buffy's back home after her stint. Your question for next week, the episode's called Dead Man's Party. Joyce joins a new social group. What is it?
Like
pickleball. If it was today, I'd be like, oh, she's into pickleball.
Wine nights.
Paint and wine.
Knitting? Is that like a thing?
If it's a club, like.
I'm gonna go with knitting. Knitting club.
So that wraps up season 3, episode 1, and again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl and All the World Pod. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. So I want to say, I said on the last episode that our we were doing a season 2 giveaway.
Oh yeah.
But it got delayed because of all the stuff we mentioned, life, holidays, travel, illness, all the stuff. So we are doing our season 2 giveaway now. So we'll have 2 giveaways this season. So we'll try to do one at the end of season 3 as well. So go on our Instagram. It'll be going live. If it's not live already, it'll be going live very soon. So go on our Instagram. It'll be live for a week, and then we'll pick a winner. And so basically the place to go for that is our Instagram. So you can get all the deets there and the rules. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 3, episode 2, Dead Man's Party. See you real soon.